Okay, so now we're going to use Multix to interact with a NoSQL database. Okay, so how's this going to work? So in Multix, there's three flavors of modules. There's a display module that sits in the browser. That's what the cat box was using. There's a cloud one that's basically full-featured Node, sits anywhere that runs Node, but you also need to manage it, right? And then there's this middle ground, this local one that just runs inside VS Code. Okay, and you're not restricted by the browser, but then again, you don't have to actually manage it yourself. All right, yeah, it's a bit quirky because it's VS Code, but anyways. The idea being that you're always going to need something local, like to upload files, like from your laptop and stuff. So, anyways, that's what we're going to try to use today. All right. Now I've got these two terminals again on the right, and this is a bit contrived, right? Because I've crammed everything onto one screen, so they can fit in the video. But normally I have these running on other monitors. Okay, and why not use other monitors, right? I mean, you see these Wall Street traders, right, with lots of screens, and you've got to imagine that writing code is at least as complex, as trading meme stocks, right? Unless, of course, you're a member of Congress, you don't need any screens at all, right? Because you already know the trade in advance. But I digress, right? So we need to connect to Mongo, okay? So we'll be using the Atlas Mongo service, okay? And when you set it up, they kind of give you instructions on how to do all this sort of thing. If you haven't used it before, it's a little hard to find. What you have to do is you have to go up into, database, and then you get to this deployments, and then you hit, I think, was it connect? And then you have to say connect with your application, and then it kind of gives you instructions here on how to do this. Now, it's going to use this NPM package called MongoDB, right? Which is this thing here. That's good enough. It supports secure, connections, all that sort of thing. Okay, so let's just try this, see how far we get. Okay. Obviously, I've set some of this stuff up in advance, right? Okay. Sorry, I'm getting a bit too much keyboard clicky background noise here. Let's just paste this in. Okay, right. Now this is Mongo, but I am in an extension. And so the problem with extensions is that if you try to add something else, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you have to restart it. If this doesn't work, you may just have to hard code the full path to Mongo in Node modules. Just be aware of that. Okay, but let's just try to run this. So what I've done before, I've got a function called connect, and I've actually then got a Multix command here, right? Okay, so let's just hit the right arrow, and okay, so it is connected, right? And it picked up the certificate. So what's it doing? This is literally right out of the instructions we were just looking at. Picks up the certificate file, which is provided to me. All I did was just paste it down, and then we do a connect, and it creates this, connects to this database called demo, okay? Which somewhere when I created the database, I called it demo. But for sure, we do need to, let's go list the collections. Sorry. Here we go. List collections. All right. I run it and I get an error. Okay. So why do I get an error? Well, I cannot list collections of undefined. Okay. What's undefined? Well, what's undefined is this DB variable. Okay. And this is the dilemma with hot loading, right? Is that this variable was set here when I did the connect, but once I've hot loaded, I've lost that one, and now it's null again, or undefined. Okay, so we need to make sure we've got this thing connected every time. Okay, so what we'll do is, so in Multix, there is this concept of main, okay? So I'm going to put a main down here, okay? And what it's going to do is anytime this module gets loaded for the first time, it's going to run main, okay? And then what my main will do, we'll just call connect. So this will just make sure that we are reconnected every time I hot load, okay? We'll do that, run it. Okay, so now it works, right? And we have no collections found, but at least we didn't get an error, okay? Let me just clear the screen, run it again, no collections, okay? And so that's fine, but there are some drawbacks to this approach, we'll get to in a minute. But before we do that, let's at least try to create a collection. Okay, so I've got the create collection is here. Just calls DB collections, and I'm going to create a collection here called my collection. Okay, so we'll run that, and then we'll list the collections again. Now there's nothing found. Now, this is because Mongo does not actually create the collection until we add something to it. It's not because the collection is not there. So let me insert an item. So let's create an insert item thing. Okay. So now we're going to insert something into this my collection, and it's supposed to be Bart, and Bart is Bart Simpson, right? So Bart Simpson is 10 years old. Okay. So Bart is 10. All right. So we're going to insert this into the collection. Okay. It says it inserted. Okay. So if you notice, sometimes the logger is interesting. Sometimes the output is interesting. It kind of depends on the workflow. But now that we've got this, if we hit list collections again, we now see the collection. Okay. And then we want to probably print out this collection. Let's call print collection, little thing here, and it just does this find, and you have to convert it to an array, otherwise I think you just get a promise back or something. I don't know. So print the collection, and it dumps it out of Mongo, and there's this internal ID, right? And then we've got Bart, and then the age of 10. Okay. So I can come up here and let's add Lisa, and Lisa to 8. Okay. So insert that. And then we're going to print collection again. And down here we can see Bart is 10, Lisa is 8. Okay. So let's go ahead and do Homer. Well, how old is Homer? Right. Okay, so Homer's 39. Okay, so we're going to set Homer to 39. Okay, and obviously I could just print it every time I do an insert, right? Like same thing. Okay, let's print this collection again. Let's try to delete Homer. Okay, so I've got some code right to do this. And the way it works is you just provided a JavaScript object that has the key value pair or thing you're looking for, but really just the field you're looking for, and it'll blow it away. So let's try to get rid of Homer. Sorry, Homer. So delete it. Right, I think it's gone. Let's just print the collection again. Okay, so Homer's gone. Okay, so you get the idea. I mean, going on and on, but there's trouble brewing because we're hot loading all the time. And what's happening is that we are creating all these database connections. Okay. Now, if I just run these commands, I run print connection. Okay. I'm not reconnecting to the database because there's no code change. Okay. But the minute I introduce a code change, it's now going to send an updated code to the worker. Okay. So I run it now. And as you can see, it's reconnecting to Mongo. So I have yet another connection. And we've been piling up these connections while I've been doing this demo. We're up to, was this 44? It's probably more than that now. I mean, this is just absurd, right? This is not sustainable. And really the only thing I can do now is just kill the worker, kill VS Code. And obviously that'll close all the connections, right? But we need to be a bit smarter about this. So let me just close all this stuff and restart it. Okay. Now, by the way, you did see the code does actually sit here on your drive, so you can store it in Git if you want to. It's just that there'll be another copy. Obviously, the latest copy will be pulled down from the server here. Okay, but yeah, you can just do standard Git repo stuff. These are just ordinary TypeScript files. Okay, so we've restarted now, and sure enough, our connections are closed. Right. So we need to do this a little bit smarter. So the problem here is that we've got this variable db. Okay, and we have to constantly keep repopulating it because it gets clobbered. It basically gets reset. So it's sitting in some pretty volatile memory. We've got this spot in sys. You know, like I said before, the stuff in sys. And there's sys.transient. Okay. And it's, I don't think there's anything in it right now. Right? Nothing. Okay. So this area will survive a hot load. I mean, it's still transient memory, if you will. If the worker crashes or whatnot, it's going to go away. But at least it'll survive a hot load. Okay, so let's. I'm now going to modify this connect to be a bit smarter. So what it'll do is it'll check to see if it's already in transient memory. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll say, look, if not sys.transient.db, it's a key value, you know, it's a standard, just a JavaScript key value thing, collection. We're going to go ahead and set it. Okay. sys.transient.db. Otherwise, okay. So we're still going to be running main. We're still going to try to connect each time, but at least we're going to go check transient memory first, okay? And if it's not in there, we're going to go ahead and create the connection, put it in there. Otherwise, we're just going to grab it out of there. So I should probably say something like using existing connection, right? Using existing Mongo connection. So now let's do a list collections. And what that did was, okay, so it's running main, it's connecting and prints it out. Let's run it again. Let's force it. Let's change the file a little bit, right? So it'll update the version. It'll force another hot load. Well, there's no code change there. Let's do it. Okay, so now we forced a hot load and it says using existing connection. So at least now we know we're not constantly creating these new connections. Okay, connection, collection, just go crazy with this stuff. And I think that's pretty much what I wanted to cover with Mongo. All right, thanks. All right, bye-bye.